Hello, everyone. My name is Sarafi, and I'm happy to meet you all. And today, I'm going to be going over my Speedroid list in November of 2023. Speedroids have significantly dropped since the skill nerf, but at least our cards got unbanned. And so the deck it feels better than it did in August, certainly. So if we take a look, the deck list that I have currently is largely monster. I have only 6 non-monster cards in a 20 card list. This list includes 2 massive bricks, which is the Den Den Daiko Duke and the Red-Eyed Dice. You don't want either one of these cards in your opening hand unless you have Win the Wind Channeler to discard them, but Win does offset the brickiness of these 2 cards, so I choose to run them. Alright. The skill is called Clearwing Acceleration. This is a Yugo only skill. During the duel that you use this skill, you cannot normal or special summon any monsters except synchro monsters or wind, dragon, or machine type monsters. It's important to note that that includes Win the Wind Channeler. So Win the Wind Channeler has a second effect that allows her to special summon herself whenever a monster is destroyed in battle. You cannot use that effect even if you have the card in your hand and one of your monsters is destroyed by battle, because the skill turns it off. If you control Clearwing Synchro Dragon, you can play one Speedroid Red-Eyed Dice from your deck or graveyard to your field. So this is not considered to be a special summon, which means that Red-Eyed Dice's effect to alter a monster's level does not trigger when this effect happens. But it also does not start a chain, so your opponent cannot respond to the Red-Eyed Dice being on the field, allowing you to immediately Synchro Summon into either your Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon or your High Speedroid Kite Drake. You can also return one card from your hand to the deck, then send one Speedroid Red-Eyed Dice from your field or deck to the graveyard, or you could send a Synchro Monster from your field to the graveyard. If you send a Synchro Monster to the graveyard, you can select one Clearwing Synchro Dragon from your graveyard and play it to your field. That monster gains attack equal to the level of the Synchro Monster you sent to your graveyard times 200 until the end of the turn. So this allows you to OTK by playing Kite Drake. You summon Kite Drake, you destroy every card on your opponent's field, you activate the skill, return one card from your hand to the deck, and then you can send Kite Drake to the graveyard to summon Clearwing with 1,600 additional attack points, giving it a total of 4,100, which is enough to kill someone who does not gain life points. The goal of this deck is to summon Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon going first, and Kite Drake going second. We are playing 2 Kite Drakes, and we are playing 1 Crystal Wing because we can only play 1 Crystal Wing. We are playing 3 Clearwing Synchro Dragons. This is extremely important. Clearwing Synchro Dragon is the backbone of this deck. It has 2 negates of its own. It is easy to summon, and your deck is entirely focused around the Synchro 7 play. There are some Synchro 7s that have a different utility than Clearwing Synchro Dragon. I have not found any of them to be as useful as having an additional Clearwing Synchro Dragon, so I always want a third copy. Additionally, we have Stardust Dragon and High Speedroid Hagoida. High Speedroid Hagoida is necessary for some of our extension combo lines because it can revive itself from the graveyard if we control a Speedroid tuner monster. And Stardust Dragon is just a good generic, a level 8 Wind Synchro monster. As for the list, we have 3 Win the Wind Channelers. This card is very important as it allows you to draw Terror Top. The entire Speedroid strategy, both in the TCG and in Duel Links, is to get Terror Top as fast as possible, and Terror Top is limited to 1. Fukimadoshi Piper, we are running at 1. This card is to be special summoned off of Taketomborg. It combines perfectly with your Terror Top to go into a Clearwing Synchro Dragon, while also drawing you an additional card, which could be a back row so that you can protect yourself during your opponent's turn, or it could be an additional card so you can return it to the deck so that you can then turn your Kite Drake into a Clearwing if you're going second. Taketomborg, we run at 3. This card is an extremely important extender. If you control a wind monster, you can special summon it from your hand. You contribute this card to special summon a Speedroid tuner from your deck, which will be either Fukimadoshi Piper or Red-Eyed Dice. And then you can only special summon wind monsters for the rest of the turn. That's just fine. We don't have any non-wind monsters in the extra deck. Card Turbo allows you to special summon this card from your hand, but you cannot activate monster effects for the rest of the turn except wind monsters. It's a level 3 tuner monster, and it works very well in particular with High Speedroid Hagoida. Card Turbo's presence is the main reason we don't run any non-Clearwing level 7s. I know some people like to run Psyframe Zeta, but it's not a win monster, so we can't activate its effect if we play Card Turbo. So, and we can't summon it if we use Taketamorg's effect. So I'm just not interested. Double Yo-Yo, we run 3 of this card. When this card is normal summon, you can target one level 3 or lower Speedroid monster in your graveyard and special summon it. This will be either your Red Eye Dice, maybe your Den Den Daiko Duke, or your Card Turbo. Occasionally, you will use it to revive Terratop if you have extended beyond the first turn, because Terratop will then just immediately search Atake Tomborg, then you can use that as your synchro play. This is how you get Den Den Daiko Duke in the graveyard, usually, is if you have double Yo-Yo and Take Tomborg at the same time. And then lastly, we're playing one Den Den, one Red Eye Dice. Den Den is a level 3 tuner monster. You can banish it from the graveyard to special summon a Speedroid tuner from your hand or graveyard, except Den Den Daiko Duke. This card is extremely good, but you never want to normal summon it. You can pull it off of Take Tomborg, or if you open it, you can discard it with Win the Wind Channeler. Originally, the skill allowed you to dump this directly from your deck to the graveyard, which was much, much better. But the nerf has definitely hurt the deck. I still play one copy just because there are some instances where I really need a level 3 tuner monster in the deck. If I have a double yo-yo and I don't have any tuner monsters in my graveyard, and I have the Take Tomborg, well, then the Den and Daiko Duke is there to try and help me get further out. Lastly, we are playing 3 copies of Forbidden Lance and 3 copies of Book of Moon. Forbidden Lance is to make sure that our monsters do not get disrupted. Synchro plays are extremely vulnerable to disruption. Any one of these cards could be messed with, and that would eliminate your entire turn and leave you with just a poor monster on the field. Speedroids have definitely been hurt by the release of Effect Veiler, because Effect Veiler can definitely impact all these monsters, and it is not a card that we can negate with a Forbidden Lance. So, yeah, it's going to be hard moving forward. We definitely need some more cards. And lastly, we have Book of Moon, just because it's the best card to play in this slot. Crackdown is not a card you want to play in a Synchro deck, because you don't know that the card that you're stealing is the right level. If you steal an Xyz monster, that doesn't have any levels, and it's not like we can just link the monster off like other decks can. Compulsory, I have tried playing Compulsory, and largely Book of Moon is better for dealing with Dingirsu, Orchestra of the Evening Star, when you're going second. I've had a lot of problems dealing with Dingirsu because it prevents my Kite Drake from going off. So Book of Mooning the Dingirsu allows me to stop Dingirsu from protecting all of the opponent's board. And if I destroy the opponent's entire board, then I can destroy their orchestrated Babel, so they can't even use any effects to go into it. Now, there are a lot of Orcus players who are currently summoning Decode Talker to protect their Dingirsu from being targeted. If that happens, it's unfortunate. You can play around it, but at the very least, Book of Moon does let you get around just Dingirsu by itself. That's the deck, that's the strategy. Now let's take a look at one of my replays that I just played this morning, and we'll see the deck in action. Obviously, I'm currently at King of Games, so these are King of Games level plays. Don't let the Selena fool you, the opponent is playing Tenyi. Alright, we're going second. Alright, real quick. The game doesn't like to let me pause when I want to, I guess. We have Monk of the Tenyi here. Okay. Alright, let's look at our hand. So we have Brick, Double Yo-Yo, best card in the deck, and Unbricking. So basically, our goal here, we're going to discard Win and Den Den Daiko Duke to draw our copy of Speedroid Car Turbo, because that card is a one-of in the deck. So we make sure that we have our Car Turbo, which we can then special summon from the hand, and we will special summon Terratop to draw Taketomborg. Then we will have Taketomborg, Double Yo-Yo, Terratop, and Car Turbo, which is our full combo. It's very rare for me to get the full combo going second. It's very good going first, but going second, we'll see how it goes. All right, our opponent summons Adhara and Vishuddha, but does not synchro summon. Instead, they are going to immediately link into the Link 3. Probably not the best play. They could have probably made better plays going into the Monk, but I guess, or the Shaman, but I guess they didn't have the spell card, so that's fine. So I special summon Terratop, and I use its effect to draw Taketomborg. We drew Win the Wind Channeler, which is just a dead card. I noticed probably right after I synchroed the first time that my opponent was passing priority with every play that I made. So I wasn't sure if the card in their hand was White Princess or Dee Crow. I didn't think it was Effect Veiler because I assumed that if it was Effect Veiler, my opponent would have immediately used it on Terra Top. All right, but we are going to make High Speedroid Hagoida. And the reason we're making High Speedroid Hagoida is because our opponent has Shithana in the graveyard. So because they have Shithana in the graveyard, I can't just Kite Drake. If I Kite Drake, then Shithana's effect will activate. It will revive the Berserker of the Tenyi and destroy my Kite Drake. I will not have any options to continue pressing forward. So instead, I need to make Crystal Wing, and it's not enough to make Crystal Wing. I have to make Crystal Wing, and I have to be able to beat over the Berserker of the Tenyi. So the board that I'm going to make is very wide. All right, I discard the Den Den Daiko Duke to search Kartobro, just like I said, and we are going to then use Karturbo and then normal summon our double yo-yo to revive our red-eye dice. Red-eye dice will change the double yo-yo to level 6 so that we can make it into a clear wing synchro dragon. Alright, then I make Crystal Wing, and I use Hagoida's effect since I have a Speedroid tuner on the field to revive it. Then I'm going to make Clear Wing. Now here my intention is to activate my skill, send a card from my hand to the deck, and switch my Hagoida into a Clear Wing that can beat over his monster. That is why I declare the activation of my skill. However, I have forgotten that I used Hagoida to make Crystal Wing, and I didn't actually have a Clear Wing in my graveyard. So instead, activating the skill forces me to use the first part of the skill to revive Red Eye Dice, which is fine, it works out. Alright, I have to Synchro Summon now to get Clear Wing in the graveyard, so I'm just going to make Stardust Dragon, because that's... I could make Kite Drake, but that doesn't help me in any way. So we make Stardust, we get the extra negate, then we activate our skill again. Now we can revive Clear Wing, and Clear Wing has the 500 extra attack points. At this point, I know the card in their hand has to be White Princess, but I have Crystal Wing to negate the White Princess so he doesn't bother using it. We beat over the Berserker of the Tenyi, and he activates Shithana. Now, Shithana's effect, for those of you that don't know, is you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard, target the destroyed monster, special summon it, then you can destroy one monster your opponent controls. Now, I was thinking that perhaps my Stardust Dragon would be able to negate this, but I was not offered the ability to negate it with Stardust Dragon, so I had to use my Crystal Wing to negate it. Crystal Wing negates, now we can attack directly. We do have lethal on board, so the opponent is forced to use their White Princess. We pass to them. They use Vishuda's effect. It is an effect, not an inherent special summon, so I can negate it, and the opponent has no cards on the field. They pass back to us. We use Card Turbo to buff ourselves 800, and we beat them to death. And there you go. Speedroids at King of Games against a Tier 2 deck. No struggle at all. Able to make a wide board with 4 negates. Even though we weren't able to OTK, our opponent had no cards left in their hand. They weren't able to play through any of our cards. If they tried to play a card like Dark Hole, Stardust Dragon would have been able to negate it. If they had a card like Needle Sealing, Stardust Dragon would have been able to negate it. Any monster effects would have been negated by our Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. If they had an effect in the graveyard, such as an Orcust card, could have negated that with Crystal Wing as well. Any attempt to target our monsters, such as with Timebreaker Magician, would have been something that we could have negated with our Clearwing Synchro Dragon. So building this board that protects all of my monsters and having so many monsters at the same time is an easy way to make sure that our opponents cannot respond. Again, the combo was Terror Top, Taketamborg, go into Hagoida, special summon Car Turbo, use Car Turbo and Hagoida to make Crystal Wing, double yo-yo, Red Eye Dice, Clear Wing. Use Hagoida's effect while Red Eye Dice is on the field to revive Hagoida. Skill, Dice out, Clear Wing plus Dice, Stardust Dragon. Skill, send Hagoida to graveyard, get your Clear Wing back for free. Now you have 2 level 8 and 1 level 7 Synchro Monster. All of them have at least 1 negate. Clearwing has 2. You are protected. You have a lot of attack points on board, and it is very difficult to get rid of your board all at once. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Sarafi. I was thrilled to have you all with me.